Hey, okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I've been very sick today. But anyway, as of technically yesterday. So, yesterday was Jim Henson's birthday, and I really want to talk about Jim because I adore Jim Henson. And so I really wanted to make this video. And so Jim Henson really impacted my childhood. And I don't know if I've ever talked about that, but so I mean, I remember watching Muppet Babies. I loved Muppet Babies. And I remember watching The Muppet Show. And, in fact, just recently on Twitter, there was a thing, which one is your favorite? And I didn't say Vincent Price. Of course, I guess in many ways I didn't want to state the obvious. I mean, and some of the people that they had on there, you would have never guessed. I mean, they had like Alice Cooper on there, and again Vincent Price, and just you go down the list of some of the people that they had. Sylvester Stallone was on there, and he sang. If I remember right, yeah, that was one that he sang, and so I mean, but you always waited to see who was on that show, and Sesame Street isn't the same as it was when he was on. Now, before people get upset, because I know people are going to be like, oh my goodness, what are you saying? No, there was more, when you look at the classic Sesame Street and you see like Jim Henson would do a lot of the music and the numbers and letters and colors, and I mean everybody remembers the uh, crayons and how the crayons were made. And I know Mr. Rogers did that too. And I don't know if it's the same video, but yeah, there's the video of the crayons being made. And so there were a lot of these, um, how things are made, how pencils are made, and everything else. And so counting, they had a song of, I remember the Ladybug Picnic. Does anybody remember that one? and um and it counted up to 12. And and you also had like the stop motion, and with a lot of it, because I remember the king, and he had like 9 princesses, and or 8 princesses, and then all of a sudden the queen had another. And but yeah, there was a lot of counting and numbers. I mean, letters and colors, and now and you had like these songs that brought in a lot of celebrities, like the monster song, the Wubba Wubba song, and it had like all these different celebrities of the time, and Grover was singing it, and he was walking down the street and he was singing this song about, and there's a shortened version, but there's a longer version where it shows all these different celebrities. I think like Whoopi Goldberg's in it, and Lou Diamond Phillips is in it, and Siskel and Ebert are in it, and so, and there's just all these different songs that they would sing that were, like Put Down the Ducky, and and they just, encouraging kids to sing and dance. And I remember the special that they had where Maria and Luis were getting married. That was a big thing. You had to see that. I know I talked about that in another one. And they just, it's like, I don't know, they don't do that. And then of course the series that they had with the guy with the big blue head and Grover in the restaurant. Oh, I always waited for that. I loved watching that. I didn't watch Sesame Street very much when I was a kid, but whenever I saw that, because sometimes I would have the TV on, and if anything else, I'd have the TV on for noise, even as a kid, and that was just hilarious to me. And they would do like rhyming, like especially with that. Yeah, I remember the rhyme that Grover said to the guy, in a hurry to be fed, beady eyes and a big blue head. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. But ever since now that Jim is gone, you don't get that as much anymore. I mean, I've seen some of them and they kind of fall flat. Some of the skits that the um I don't know his name. I know that the character has a name and Grover do, but they kind of fell flat. Like the one in the bakery was meh, and then they did the Spider-Man thing. That went on forever. It wasn't funny. Like these other ones, like in the restaurant, they were funny, hilarious. These ones weren't. Uh, and they would do the movies like Follow That Bird. And if you've never seen it, I highly recommend seeing it. I mean, this was, you don't see Elmo. This was before the Elmo. Oh my gosh. See, that's another thing is that Jim Henson never was one to push one character in your face. And I mean, we all knew about Kermit. Kermit was his favorite because Kermit was the one that helped kickstart his career. So Kermit was the front man, kind of like Billy Joe Armstrong is the front man, of Green Day. But when it comes, because he made the Muppets, so Kermit is the front man of the Muppets, and so it made sense. Nobody questioned it. But now it's like with Elmo, once Jim Henson died, they just went crazy with Elmo, and it's like, and man, I remember I was like a junior or senior in high school when that Tickle Me Elmo thing came out, and it was the adults that wanted it more than the kids. It terrified the kids, and yeah, the kids didn't want it. It was the adults that wanted it, and so yeah, with Jim Henson, he never did stuff like that. Like I said, it was you know, the front man of Muppets. It made sense. But I remember the songs. We all love Rainbow Connection. I mean, I have Rainbow Connection on my laptop. And like Together Again from Muppets Take Manhattan. Together Again. And there's also the songs like Moving Right Along, digga dung, digga dung. And it's time to play the music. It's time to light the light. I mean, I could just go on and on and on, but he was so creative with his songs and everything. And that's what I miss. Are all these silly songs, Phenomena. It makes no sense, but who cares? I mean, do we really need an explanation for that one? I mean, that's the brilliance of it. And and so the the Muppets songs and everything else. I mean, the Jim Henson was behind and everything. I feel like the magic is gone. I will say this though. The two movies that were released after he died were well done, like Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island. Well done. Very well done. The music was well done and everything else. And I mean, you can't go wrong with pirates. I mean, you cast Tim Curry and Sir Michael Caine, you're good to go. So, but I love those movies. I really do. I even have the soundtrack for and they're with the pirate one, Pirate Treasure Island, the Treasure Island one. But the funny thing is that on the Treasure Island one, they actually did a mix up on the tracks because and and every time I listen to it, I'm like, wait, that's not the part. That's and so I find that funny. But anyway, so and I find it interesting because and I was talking to a friend of mine. I think he follows me here on YouTube. Is with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the live action from 1990, which I think is the last one that Jim Henson was a part of. Because he worked with the costumes and everything, and if you didn't know, yeah, he did it reluctantly. And the thing is, I find it very interesting that the Jim Henson workshop decided to work on those costumes reluctantly because Jim Henson said that it was a violent movie and he didn't really um he didn't like the fact that it was violent. And I'm thinking, okay, but some of the movies that you had released were like Dark Crystal. Yeah, Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. I mean, especially when you watch Dark Crystal and what they do to that one, with the eye thing and everything, and it's just like even for fantasy, that's crazy, man. I mean, so I don't know. I don't know what he was trying. I mean, so but anyway, yeah, he worked on the costumes for that, and I think that was his last. Yeah, because that was 1990, so that had to be his last project. And but yeah, those. By the way, that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action from me. Okay. And not because he was a part of it. But anyway, so I really wanted to make this video because of the fact that Jim Henson was such an impact on my childhood, Muppet Babies and Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. And well, those came later. Those came like in middle school for me. I mean, I'm the same age as Dark Crystal, so and I still need to watch the TV series. I was holding up. I was excited for the TV series, but I wanted to hold back and hear what people had to say. And because you build yourself up and then it's like, oh no, it's not as good as what I thought. So but I've heard really good things about the series, so now I'm gonna watch it for myself. And I'm gonna binge. And so yeah, like I said, Fraggle Rock and Muppet Babies and Muppet Show, the two movies, and Storyteller, not Storytellers, Jim Henson Storyteller, the one that has Sir John Hurt in it. And which is really overlooked, and I'm kind of surprised because there's this new craze for mythology and everything. So it does surprise me that it hasn't been picked up again. So, but you never know. But anyway, guys, yeah, I really wanted to make this video because of the fact that Jim Henson has been such an influence on my childhood and everything. Look, I miss the guy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, that's all I gotta say.